Before joining the Carpenter's Apprenticeship Program and learning the fundamentals of construction, I always wondered how a building with all that weight can stand firm and stable without it all come crashing down. Not too long after starting work and going to school, I realized that one of the first things in the building process is to pour the footers and to create a firm foundation for the building to be built on. Shortly after, they would start setting steel or concrete for the structural integrity to create stability for the building itself. And that's when the puzzle pieces started to fall into place and I started to see the big picture. But through these past 4 years, I started to see how much of a lesson this has taught me in my life. It's important to build your life on a solid foundation and to have structure to keep you stable. When all the weight of the world is on your shoulders, this will keep you firm and stable in your life. So first things first, the foundation. For me, my foundation was not so solid. See, growing up, I was born and raised in a broken home. My parents were both alcoholics and drug addicts. They got divorced when I was about 4 years old. My father got sent to prison shortly after the divorce. I remember my mom, sister, and I moved around a lot, resulting in me attending 4 different elementary schools before reaching middle school. When I started getting into my late teenage years, I had no sense of direction or guidance in my life. My heart was growing with anger and confusion from the absence of my parents' attention and guidance for my life. So I started to rebel and get into trouble with law enforcement. I also started to experiment with drugs and alcohol during my high school years. After my senior year, I continued down this dangerous path that eventually led me to prison at the age of 20 years old. During this point in my life, I was so lost and confused on what and where I was at in my life. However, one thing I knew was that I wanted more for myself. So when I was released from prison, I decided to change my life. I started with my priorities, followed by the people, places, and things that I surrounded myself with. Through all of this, there was one person I kept around, and that was my best friend, Lindsay. A couple of years later, I made one of the best decisions of my life, and that was to marry my best friend, Lindsay. After which, we started to build our life together with the birth of our beautiful daughter, Charlotte. I finally started to build a life of my own. But the one thing I needed to do was to pursue a career to support my family. At the time, I knew I needed to do something that would be hands-on. I worked in landscaping, roofing, painting, and in car shops. But the thing was, it just wasn't enough. They offered no benefits, no retirement plan. I just felt like the income was not going to cut it. Shortly after this realization, by the grace of God, a family friend told me about an apprenticeship program with the Carpenters Union. He handed me a business card with the name of Gary Trout and told me to call when I was ready. I immediately made that phone call, and Gary instructed me to come in and sit down and talk. I remember on my way there, all I could think about was the weight of my past and that I wasn't going to be accepted into the Carpenter's Apprenticeship Program. I remember one of the first things we talked about was what the union is about, and that was not judging people from their past, but accepting them for who they are in their present. He also spoke to me about all the hard work it will take and the adversity I will have to face. But in the end, the hard work will pay off. So I got accepted and joined the Carpenter's Apprenticeship Program in February of 2016. I began working for Gibson and Lewis and started school shortly after. I'll tell you one thing, the first full week of OSHA 30 during the day and night classes for personal finance while dealing with a teething baby when I got home was one of the hardest weeks of my life. I had to face the adversity of working long hours, 7 days a week, or traveling an hour and a half one way to work. But unfortunately, that was not the hardest thing I faced. See, the second year of my apprenticeship, the cracks of my foundation started to grow and show. The weight of the world and life's stressful times made me turn back to alcohol and drugs to help me carry the load. I was putting a Band-Aid on something that needed stitches. I eventually got to the point where I couldn't even look at myself in the mirror because every time I did, I started to see myself turning into my parents. My life started crashing down all around me, almost losing everything. My wife, the relationship with my daughter, and my career. So I was in the darkest time of my life. That's exactly when God intervened and shined His light in my life and started to change me. That's when I started my personal relationship with Jesus Christ. I started attending a church, started studying His Word, and surrounding myself with Christian men that held me accountable and helped me grow into a better man. I really started to find my true identity, and through this, God saved and changed me from the old Corey to the new. God gave me the strength to persevere and start fresh. He literally poured the new footers in my heart. I started to build my life on a solid foundation. Through the second half of my apprenticeship, I started to excel in class and on the job. I got to be part of the fourth-year competition, and I'm going on 5 years with my company with Gibson and Lewis. Guys, on February 5th, 2021, I'll have 3 years sober. All glory to God. Now, with this new solid foundation in my life, I've started to structurally build my life with true purpose and meaning. I now coach and help young men fight their battle with alcohol and drug addictions, and most importantly, I help them structuralize their life through a personal relationship with God. Through this apprenticeship program, I've gained better morals and self-character. I've also learned how to be a leader and a teacher. It's the coolest thing to see a first-year apprentice to walk on a job site and to be able to teach them the skills of the trade, and most important for me, to be able to reflect and see how far I've come. This Carpenter's Apprenticeship program has truly helped me build a life for myself, and like Gary Trout told me, the hard work has paid off. Thank you guys so much, and God bless you all.